SpaceX is trying the impossible. Will they be able to launch the first version 3 Starship in time? Is it even possible to assemble a super heavy booster in 4 weeks? Do they even have enough Raptor 3 engines? Is the Starship program in trouble? We'll find out today. SpaceX's Florida Starship pads receive a huge launch license, and Baikonur is suffering a major spaceflight problem. No more crewed flights for Russia. The UK is launching rockets with balloons, Poland is launching its own rockets, Chinese astronauts are trapped in space, and Europe is trying to figure out reusable rockets. My name is Felix, welcome to What About It? Let's dive right in. Starship updates. Today we'll do some detective work together. SpaceX announced that Flight 12 will occur in Q1 2026, and we'll try to determine which tasks still need to be performed and how long they should take. We'll find out when exactly in Q1 SpaceX will likely launch that version 3 Starship flight. And the fun part will be to quote me on this episode when it actually does launch, but we'll get there when the time comes. Let's start with the booster. B-18 did not want to be the first V3 booster to launch a Starship. The leading theory as to why it ruptured is that yet another COPV gave in during its very first ambient pressure pneumatic proof testing. Wildly different in appearance, but essentially the same as the Ship 36 explosion on June 18th. Yep, it's already been more than 5 months. So if both had a failing COPV as the cause of the accident, why did one look like this and the other like this? The answer is simple but significant. Ship 36 was about to static fire and Booster 18 was in pneumatic proof testing. One involves inert gases at ambient temperature, the other involves propellant. What's very concerning, if it really was yet another COPV, is that either SpaceX's COPV supplier is doing a terrible job, or SpaceX employees aren't careful enough with the COPV tanks during handling and installation. Aerospace composite overwrap pressure vessels, or COPVs, are made of a liner and a composite overwrap. The liner, which can be metallic like aluminum, steel, or Inconel, or even plastic, serves as a barrier to prevent leaks. The composite overwrap, which carries the structural load, consists of fibers such as carbon fiber or fiberglass embedded in a hardened resin. These tanks address a problem that composite carbon materials face, allowing them to leverage their advantages in tanks. The liner makes it possible, but carbon fiber has one disadvantage. It can crack. Since the liner on the inside doesn't take most of the pressure, it ruptures if the composite surface is damaged. So they are great if handled correctly. As sad as it might be, the Booster 18 incident also gave us a very rare insight. And now we can even compare it to another thanks to Booster 17. On the left we have the Booster 17 aft section cut open as it's being scrapped at the Sanchez site right now, and on the right we have Booster 18 ripped open at Massey's test site just days ago. It doesn't take an expert to see that these two are very different. I talked about this on the last episode. Go back and watch that after this one if you haven't seen it yet. It's essential to understand the deeper strategy. And these two images are the perfect example of what I explained. Why would SpaceX do this? Why redesign the entire thing again? The entire fuel manifold is completely different. The new separate LOX header tank in the version 3 booster design is missing in version 2. Why? Here's a clue. It is not because the version 2 design was wrong. After all, it worked well on flights 10 and 11. With B-18 out of the way, we're landing at the first big obstacle for a Flight 12 launch date. We need a new booster. SpaceX has announced that Booster 19 is in the works and will be fully ready for cryo testing in December. Putting it mildly, that would be a miracle. The fastest ever stacking time for SpaceX's booster cruise was a bit over 3 months. The reason it worked so quickly was that SpaceX had all the parts ready and just needed to assemble them as fast as possible. Let's just assume that all the parts for Booster 19 are ready as well. It would still mean that SpaceX needs to do it in a third of the time it took them to assemble Booster 17, the last version 2 booster they ever assembled. And it really doesn't look like the super heavy version 3 design is a lot simpler than version 2, but it is different. I mentioned this in the last episode as well, I'll link it at the end of this one. If SpaceX manages to pull this off, it would be the biggest confirmation of my theory. Version 3 is made for mass production and version 2 wasn't yet. Version 3 is Gigabay ready, so to speak. That's the booster. Big obstacle, now comes the ship. Ship 39 is an advanced assembly in Megabay 1. It already looks beautiful. A very complete looking heat shield, fully stacked, lots of interesting stuff. Orbital refueling baked into the design. We want to see it fly, but it still needs to do its testing, as it likely has as much difference in design from the version 2 ships as version 3 boosters do from the version 2 design. And for that, SpaceX built a special test tank. Let me introduce you to S39.1, SpaceX's version 3 ship aft section test article. Built to test all the new things incorporated into the design. It serves a similar purpose as B18.1 and B18.3, the two version 3 super heavy booster test articles currently at Massey's. And the biggest problem here is that the booster test articles have been tested for months. B18.1 has been at Massey's since May and isn't done testing yet, with 10 cryo tests under its belt. Ship 39.1 hasn't even begun testing yet, so SpaceX simply doesn't know whether the new version 3 design actually meets expectations. No test data yet. Cryo testing a ship without first running tests on a test article would be risky. I mean, we've seen SpaceX take risks all over the place, so they might fast-track Ship 39 without any test article data. They could just largely skip Ship 39.1 and go straight to testing the actual ship. If they do that, I can see Ship 39 being ready for a launch in February. If not, I am honestly running out of ideas as to how they could get it done so quickly. Never say never, Felix. I've learned over and over again that SpaceX isn't just fast, they are unbelievably quick all the time. And if you want to get something very important done quickly, how about this? The daily endless hours online come with a looming threat. So let's talk about protection for yourself and those you love. This video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Being safe online means being anonymous. If no one knows your identity, they can't find you. A great way to remain anonymous is to remove your digital address. That's what a VPN does online. Surfshark offers a turnkey VPN solution for all. You, your kids, your wife, your parents. It keeps your digital home's address off the list, and if no one can find you, no one can send you things you don't want. Surfshark is extremely easy to use. It handles everything for you, including proxy emails, instant alerts, and a fresh start if your data was compromised. The Surfshark One cybersecurity package includes a built-in antivirus to protect you from dangers like data worms and Trojan horses. We don't want Digital Santa to come with unpleasant gifts. It not only protects you at home or on the go, but also covers your entire family on as many devices as you like. Set a new standard for your family's security. Go to surfshark.com/Felix or use code Felix at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. Surfshark, your data, your rules, no nasty presents. Alright, full on protected, let's keep checking Flight 12 boxes. The next essential item obviously is Pad 2. Without it, there is no booster static fire. There is no wet dress rehearsal, which I very much believe SpaceX won't skip on the first version 3 Starship full stack, and lastly, there is no launch. Pad 1 is gone for good and wasn't compatible with version 3 Starships either. This is the way. Pad 2 needs to be done, and it's not missing many pieces to be ready now. Honestly, Pad 2 is the least troublesome item. SpaceX installed the ship quick disconnect arm and the extender is almost ready. I expect them to roll it out to the pad any day now. The hold down clamps are tested. The deluge system has already undergone numerous tests in recent weeks. The tank farm looks largely done. It is almost ready for action. Of course it is. If Booster 18 hadn't ruptured, this would have been its next stop, a first static fire on the new pad. SpaceX was ready. The pad was on schedule for Flight 12. Now it has at least another 4 weeks. The pad will be ready, so that's a miracle booster stack, a ship arguably behind its test timeline, and a pad that's all but finished. That leaves us with one more item. The Raptors. Does SpaceX have 39 Raptor 3 engines ready to propel a version 3 Starship to space? One significant change between versions 2 and 3 is the engine itself. Comparing version 2 and 3 side by side tells the story. It's wildly less complex, but it doesn't even stop there. It's the same story as with boosters and ships. It's a redesign in many regards, not just an upgrade. Version 2 Raptors were tucked into the booster aft skirt on ascent. Version 3 Raptors will sit under it, exposed to severe re-entry heat, wind and other weather conditions. SpaceX did this to reduce weight. They solved it by making the entire power head, that's the bulky part of the engine above the bell, actively cooled and far sleeker. No more cables and pneumatic lines, no nothing. So much so that it looks surreal. I mean, is this even a complete engine? Yes, it is. It runs as shown. So does SpaceX have enough of these? Do they have 39 engines? There is a very easy way to find out. Rhino from the Ring Watchers is basically crazy about finding Raptor 3 engines in NASA spaceflight footage from McGregor, Texas, where SpaceX tests all its engines before delivery to various rockets. And he's been busy tracking all the Raptor 3 engines ever sighted. And he's counted 36. That's not 39. The early versions might not even see flights, but that's just the ones he's seen. There are some gaps in here. Even though these engines weren't sighted, they very likely do exist. And the highest number he's ever seen is 68. Man, why not 69? That's 39 and then some. Easily enough for one full stack, and since the Raptor team didn't predict a Booster 18 failure, they are likely already busy making the next set of 39 engines for Booster 20 and Ship 40. Just for fun, here are all the Raptor 2 engines that were ever sighted at McGregor and elsewhere. Yeah, that is a lot of engines. So another item that won't be a showstopper, we got engines. Here's why it is important to get good information. Even though all the headlines right now talk about Booster 18 and how that's going to be the reason for Flight 12 not launching at the beginning of January, you know better now. It's never been the booster, it's always been the ship, even before the Booster 18 rupture. If SpaceX isn't willing to skip crucial test article testing, it will take at least another 2 months to get Ship 39 flight ready. So be honest, did you expect this outcome from our little investigation? Booster 18 likely didn't delay Flight 12 at all if they can assemble and test Booster 19 within the next 8 weeks. What do you think? What's your estimate launch date for Flight 12? Write a precise date in the comments. Let's see who's getting closest. Okay, I'll say February 22nd on record right now. But are 8 weeks realistic for Booster 19 to be assembled and done with testing? Remember the 3 months it took SpaceX to assemble Booster 17? Take a look at this. That's the current state of boosters in production, also tracked by the Ring Watchers. It shows Booster 19 with 2 segments. And this is slightly outdated already. SpaceX has moved the A34 segment into Megabay 2 on the 28th. A34 stands for Aft Segment 3, consisting of 4 rings. They've got the aft assembly done with the wildly changed version 3 manifold. The new version 3 booster internals are complicated, to say the least. Lots of pipes and conduits need to be installed. It is honestly hard to say if they can get this done before the end of December, but they are certainly working at an unreal pace. Roughly every 3 days we're seeing a booster segment being rolled into the Megabay for assembly. Fingers crossed. Structural strength isn't just crucial for SpaceX. If you want to help us make even better content, hit the subscribe button to stay informed. Like this video if it brought you value and become a wise supporter for extra content. Chat with me and gain more insights on the topic you love. Thank you very much. And here is the banger for last. SpaceX has achieved a massive milestone regarding its brand new Starship launch complex at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. The final environmental impact statement was released. If you're not a regular here at Y, this might not mean much to you. Let me explain. SpaceX received its license for SLC-37A and SLC-37B, the new Starship pads being built in Florida. The permit covers 76 launches and 152 landings annually, exclusively for Starship. No Falcon launches are planned for this launch facility. With this, all lights are green for construction and for plenty of Starship launches from the East Coast. SpaceX has already fully assembled one tower at its Roberts Road facility, and construction can now move forward without roadblocks. Expect launches from here to happen as soon as the end of 2026. Man, I can't wait. From collapsing boosters, we're moving over to collapsing structures. Russia's Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan sustained damage during last week's launch of the Soyuz MS-28 spacecraft. The spacecraft and crew were not harmed and reached the ISS safely. However, the post-launch inspections revealed damage to multiple elements of the launch pad. Damage is nicely put. What do we know about it? Reports indicate that a mobile servicing cabin beneath the launch platform collapsed into the flame trench during liftoff. This structure is comparable to the dance floor that was used on the Pad 1 OLM at Starbase, giving technicians good and safe access to the rocket's aft. While some news outlets reported much more severe damage and that repairs could take years, Roscosmos paints a different picture. According to the agency, it possesses all necessary spare parts and will be able to repair the facility within a few weeks. That would be very important for Russia's crewed space program. Baikonur was Russia's only operational launch pad for crewed Soyuz missions to the ISS. An alternative Soyuz launch site at ESA's Guiana Space Center was in operation until February 2022, but has since been leased to Maya Space, which is in the process of reconfiguring it for its own launch vehicle slated to begin operations in 2026. So, no. Russia leases the Baikonur launch complex from Kazakhstan for $115 million annually. It has been at the heart of the Russian space program since the early 1960s. This is the historic site from which Yuri Gagarin, the first human in space, launched in April 1961. For now, Russia has lost access to the ISS, and SpaceX's Crew Dragon is the only option worldwide to reach it. Acme Space, based in London, UK, is preparing its Hyperion Orbital Factory Vehicles test campaign. The Hyperion platform uses a massive 135-meter hydrogen balloon to lift the vehicle to 30 kilometers altitude. Once there, a liquid oxygen-methane rocket separates, ignites, and ascends to low Earth orbit. After reaching the targeted orbit, the 200-kilogram spacecraft will manufacture materials such as protein crystals and optical fibers for 2 to 3 weeks before returning to Earth. Protein crystals produced in space don't suffer from any convection. That means they are pure in their molecular order. The same flawless molecular alignment greatly improves ZBLAN optical fibers, achieving up to 100% better light transmission, just because there are no imperfections if it grows in microgravity. And it gets even crazier. ZBLAN can only be manufactured in microgravity environments, nowhere else. Testing begins with a drop test in Oman in early 2026, followed by engine tests and a suborbital flight from Scotland's Saxaford spaceport by the end of the year. Acme is partnering with 2 pharmaceutical firms to develop protein crystal growth systems for the inaugural 2027 mission. The Hyperion platform is designed for 15 reuses with capacity priced at $5,000 to $10,000 per kilogram. Did you know that a company in Poland is getting ready to join the suborbital launcher club? Polish launch provider Space Forest has successfully launched its Paran rocket for the first time since 2023. This launch of an extensively redesigned prototype marks the beginning of an ambitious qualification campaign. The most significant upgrades lie in the rocket's SF-1000 hybrid propulsion system. Space Forest conducted 2 test flights in 2023, both experiencing anomalies that required mid-flight aborts before reaching the target 50-kilometer altitude. This time, the entire mission was successful, and Space Force was able to demonstrate and verify a number of operational aspects, including demonstration of launch and safety procedures, the execution and recovery of scientific experiments, the validation of payload integration with the launch vehicle, and the verification of the thrust vector control system. The mission marked the first of 4 qualification flights funded by the European Space Agency's Boost program, which awarded Space Forest €2.4 million in October 2024. These funds specifically support upgrading the hybrid propulsion system's nozzle and certifying the rocket for commercial operations. At 11.5 meters tall, Paran is designed to carry payloads up to 50 kilograms to altitudes of 150 kilometers using an environmentally friendly propellant for its SF-1000 engine that seems to become more commonplace by the hour. The qualification flight is still planned to take place this year. It is set to be the last test to remain below the Kármán line. This will be surpassed by 2 test flights in 2026 that will take Perun's payload to an altitude of 150 kilometers. Over in China, CNSA has solved a serious problem. 3 Chinese astronauts aboard the Tiangong space station found themselves unable to return to Earth after space debris damaged their spacecraft, prompting China to accelerate the launch of a replacement vehicle. The incident began when the Shenzhou 20 capsule sustained cracks in its window from an apparent impact with space debris while docked at Tiangong. The Shenzhou 20 crew had completed its 6-month rotation and was initially scheduled to return on November 5th. After the capsule was deemed unfit for the return flight, the Shenzhou 20 crew flew back to Earth aboard the current crew's spacecraft. This solution left the Shenzhou 21 mission's crew without a lifeboat. But this has changed now. China's space agency keeps a Long March 2F rocket and replacement Shenzhou spacecraft on standby, ready to be fast-tracked for launch in as few as 8.5 days. On Tuesday, CNSA launched the replacement Shenzhou 22 spacecraft from its Zhoushan Satellite Launch Center in Inner Mongolia. And they've already docked with the Tiangong space station. The agency also used this opportunity to send additional food and cargo to the Shenzhou 21 crew, who just began their 6-month stay aboard Tiangong on October 31st. From China's orbital troubleshooting, we move over to Europe to have a look at a fascinating experiment. The German Aerospace Center DLR is advancing Europe's capabilities in reusable launch vehicle technology through its Reusability Flight Experiment, or REFEX for short. REFEX is a technology demonstrator designed to test key systems for a vertical takeoff and horizontal landing rocket stage. The rather compact demonstrator measures 2.7 meters in length, has a wingspan of approximately 1.1 meters, and weighs around 375 kilograms. Unlike operational rockets, REFEX carries no propulsion system other than a cold gas system for attitude control in space. The primary goal is to showcase autonomous flight control and the aerodynamic capabilities exhibited during atmospheric re-entry. REFEX's mission profile simulates the return journey of a winged first stage booster. A 2-stage VSB-30 sounding rocket will transport REFEX to an altitude of approximately 130 kilometers, mimicking the conditions of a first stage separation event. After release, the demonstrator will perform an autonomous re-entry that tests its ability to transition from space to controlled atmospheric flight. The launch from the Coonabar test range in South Australia has been delayed from its original 2021 target date to no earlier than late 2025, which is never going to happen. And we all know it. Welcome back to the Y Countdown, your rapid-fire look behind the curtain at everything that keeps this channel blasting off. Today I want to thank all those who've already participated in Friday's Y Countdown. We got so many ideas back, I'm baffled by your creativity. We got everything from a channel hosted by my wife Stefanie to community competitions sharing our content to more in-depth videos about single topics. In fact, we got so many interesting ideas back that I'd like to encourage you again to send in more. I'll again collect as many as I can and determine which are the best. As a final step, I'll let you vote on them in a future episode. So if you want to be a part of the think tank, spam away. When this community locks arms, nothing is out of reach. Thanks for being our rocket fuel. We are all in this mission together. And that's it for today. Smash that like button, subscribe for more. This is what fuels the algorithm, and this is how you can help us for free. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. Our brand new Raptor emblem design and countless others are there for you to explore. Click the card or the US or worldwide link in the description. And if you want to see the episode I referenced all the way in the beginning to learn more about SpaceX's design rationale, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode.